I'm Nathan.
I'm Kevin.
And you're listening to Fast Food Film Friends, the show where we talk about movies while trying new and exciting menu items from our favorite fast food restaurants.
That's right. This week, we're going to be talking about the latest Dwayne Johnson movie that everyone is raving about.
I would say raving.
I would say raving, if not rampaging about. Rampage, while eating the new and, from the looks of it, quite innovative Arby's traditional Greek gyros, along with Arby's probably not traditional Euro curly fries.
It's more like Euro and curly fries.
Mm-hmm.
There's distinctly a layer of curly fries and some Euro on top.
There's not much mixing in there.
No, not very much, no.
But, aesthetically, if you get a good tomato in there, it does look halfway appetizing.
Yeah, we should probably get to that in a second.
Yeah.
From IMDb, the plot summary of Rampage reads as follows. When 3 different animals become infected with a dangerous pathogen, a primatologist and a geneticist team up to stop them from destroying Chicago.
What a synopsis.
I don't think primatologist is a word.
I questioned that during the movie, but again, I questioned several things during that film.
I took everything that Dwayne Johnson said at face value. So by reading it now, I understand. Ridiculous.
He drove a brand new Ford Bronco, so what could he be wrong about? And from Arby's, as they describe this blessed meal sitting in front of us, Arby's traditional Greek gyro features a blend of beef, lamb, and Mediterranean spices sliced from a spit rotisserie probably 30 days ago and then frozen and shipped to Arby's, but still initially sliced from a spit rotisserie, placed on a warm flatbread with lettuce, tomatoes, red onions, tzatziki sauce, and some Greek seasoning. Now, warm is an adjective I would not use to describe these, but Arby's chose to.
I would say sad.
The pita definitely looks sad. I think it knows what should be inside of it, and it's definitely not Arby's roast beef. That just doesn't really make sense in a gyro. But here we are, and here it is.
So before we get started, I want to know if a primatologist is a person who studies primates.
Yes.
Does that mean, by this logic, that we as people studying gyros, are we urologists?
I think we want to hit the emphasis on the urologist and not jump into urologist, but I think we're close. But also, as a primatologist and as a loose primate, I think we are technically classified as primates. Is it just a really introspective person?
Yeah.
A primatologist who just kind of ponders?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're all third cousins.
Where's the line between philosophist and primatologist?
What are your thoughts generally on monkey movies?
I will say Planet of the Apes. I was on board. Not the original, because I was not born.
You mean the new trilogy?
I wouldn't even call it a trilogy because I only saw the first one. I liked that one. However, I've seen some other chimp movies that I'm not too impressed with. There's, I think, Rocket Chimp. Was that an animated movie?
I don't recall.
I think it could be. I think it was, and it was not good. So,
I remember MVP, Most Valuable Primate, where he played hockey.
Yeah, that was during the Air Bud craze.
It was, yeah. It was a bit of a tearjerker, if I recall correctly. Bedtime with Bonzo.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, are you familiar with the movie Kong Skull Island?
I am actually. I watched that in a terrible hotel room.
Yeah.
That only had terrible movies available, and I watched Kong Skull Island. That's the new one, right?
It was like last year, yeah.
With several other monsters.
Yes.
That Kong is fighting.
Yes.
A lot of parallels now that you mentioned that. Actually,
a lot of
the
parallels.
movie we just watched, Rampage with Dwayne Johnson. But that one, I kind of walked into it knowing what I was going to get. I knew it wasn't going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
I knew Jack Black is Jack Black in that one?
I don't think so. John C. Reilly's in it.
John C.
And
Reilly.
like Brie Larson and
John C. Reilly.
And what's his face from Avengers?
Yeah, you know what?
Loki.
I'm getting confused with Jumanji now. The new Jumanji.
Yeah.
With Jack Black
Again,
and The Rock.
Similar.
There's
kind of between those two movies and this one and like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Like the big creature craze is booming right
Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah, Pacific Rim. Yeah.
All those.
There's really there's a saturation.
I think so. I think Rampage really summarizes, at least in my mind, was really the epitome of like the Rock movie cliches.
Yeah.
It's just him muscles out, ladies loving him
Absolutely.
throughout the whole thing, driving trucks, talking to chimps. Not very good sign language, but apparently the chimps just go with it.
They got it. Before we move on, we should probably go ahead and dig in.
Now, do we try the Arby's roast beef gyro, or do we go with the traditional Greek gyro? And in all honesty, I cannot visibly tell the difference between what's in front of me.
They're both, I would say, a medium grayish brown
It looks like it's been dead for a long time.
with either seasoning or black mold.
Could be either one. The tomatoes are translucent.
Yes.
No color to them whatsoever.
If I held these tomato slices in front of my eyes, I could still see.
They might actually help you see better. Red onions look good, though. I will give them that.
Yeah,
Lettuce,
that look bad.
lettuce is pretty classic fast food lettuce, just trash, meant to soak up juices and
Yeah.
spill on your pants mainly. Now the curly fries intrigue me with the Greek stuff on top. I have to say,
Yeah.
I do like the curly fries.
I will say the cheese on the curly fries looks appetizing.
Is that cheese or is that tzatziki sauce?
Oh, I actually don't know.
I can't be sure.
What we will find out.
We will.
So I vote that we start with the traditional gyro, and
Okay.
we go from there.
Let me try to identify. You know what? I know Arby's roast beef. You can tell because it's sliced about 30 times thinner than any meat should.
Yeah.
So let's go with traditional Greek. Take a nice bite here. Now, scale of 1 to 10 on flavor, it's pretty low for me. I'm going to give that about a 2 or a 3.
I'm not getting a lot.
Not much flavor. A lot of pita.
Yeah.
Whole lot of pita compared to everything else.
I'm mostly tasting pita. The pita, I will say,
Surprising.
mostly tasting pita isn't necessarily a bad thing.
It's not.
I'm a big pita fan.
I'm too.
If we had a nice bowl of hummus right here,
Mm-hmm.
I would happily remove the guts
Yeah.
of this sandwich and just dip that pita in that hummus.
Now, I started from the top of my pita. I just took a bite from the bottom, like the bottom of a Taco Bell taco, let's say.
Right.
That's where the juice has been kind of coagulating, really soaking in.
Yeah.
That bottom bite was a lot better than the top bite.
Okay.
But still, the translucent tomatoes were just really throwing me off. Tzatziki sauce isn't terrible. But yeah, I would not. This was like a $5 item on the menu. I probably would not.
This was about a $4.50 item.
I'm eating it. I'm eating a lot of it, but I would not be a repurchaser of this item. Now I'm going to jump. I see you're still kind of. I've abandoned the traditional Greek just because there's nothing else that I'm going to discover in that. I'm curious about the roast beef, but at the same time, seeing these two things next to each other, the traditional beef and the roast beef, although they're both beef, kind of remind me of CRISPR, the gene altering program, where you could just tweak something like that, and sometimes you end up with, a giant rat in space, like in the movie, or a giant ape.
So, let's talk about that. I want to say right off the bat, the first thing I noticed about this film was that
Highly scientifically accurate.
absolutely, and the terminology for these secret projects in this organization. We've got Project CRISPR.
Yeah, that's real.
That instantly off the bat, once I heard that, I wanted to eat some French fries.
Yeah, that's why.
It got me hungry.
Yeah.
It got me in the mood for the movie to end so that we could come home and have some curly fries slathered with gyro.
Yeah. I will say, though, the terrible name of the company, I feel like, was right on par with the terrible, terrible acting from the two heads of that terrible company. Now, that is Malin Ackerman, who I've seen her in a few movies, and she's an attractive lady. She's a pretty good actress. But, oh, my God.
It was rough.
That was rough. And then you got Pete from The Office.
Yeah. New Jim from The Office. For those at home, this isn't a joke. Jim from The Office plays the villain in this film.
Yeah.
And it's about as awful as one would expect.
I feel like he is actually New Jim, who was just like taken out of the office and forced to be in a Michael Scott movie And he's
That
the
is-
whole time.
This literally could have been the sequel to Threat Level Midnight,
It is.
starring New Jim,
Mhm.
and I would have enjoyed it more as an Office spin-off.
Yes, his acting was on par with Threat Level Midnight.
Yes.
And it's so hard to take him seriously. They dressed him up in a fancy suit. They gave him like 6 screens to stare at, some lab rats running around. But it's just impossible to take that man seriously, I think. No offense to him, because he's probably a very nice guy. I would assume.
A fine man.
He could join our fast food and film friends any day.
Absolutely. Let's give him a call.
Susan, could you get Pete on the line, please? Great.
She's working on it.
Great. Keep working on that.
So I wanted to pitch this movie idea to you. First of all, side note, I feel as though the roast beef is, I would personally say, substantially better
I was going to agree, and it's
than
weird.
the Greek gyro.
Yeah.
Because this is just, okay, Arby's knows what they're doing.
With roast beef.
They've been making this paper-thin roast beef
Yeah.
for millennia.
I would say so, at least.
And they
I've
realized
seen
we can
hieroglyphics.
throw this on some half-decent pita bread.
Maybe like quarter decent pita bread.
Out quarter decent, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
I would say 2/5.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and it's not a bad concoction.
It's really, I think the main issue here is that their roast beef supplier, been in business a long time, like you said, millennia. They've been making this beef. They know what they're doing. It's flavorful. And then I think, they have one guy in the office at headquarters who's just like, one day his boss comes in and says, we're doing gyros. I need some lamb sliced off the rotisserie by tomorrow. We're launching it tomorrow. And he's just like, oh, shit. So he goes down to the street to his local gyro guy, maybe the big box store gyro guy, probably not a small family operation, I would assume, who's just cranking out this gyro meat for cheap, blending it, freezing it in something that looks like something you can cut off a rotisserie.
Yeah, I can taste the rust.
Yeah, it doesn't taste good, and it's just bland. But the roast beef, you know what I think it is? It is probably just more familiarity than anything.
It's true. My body is used to this bizarre variety of roast beef.
Almost
I'm
gelatinous.
sure that if I had spent my high school years eating this disgusting lamb, like I have been eating this roast beef, I would feel much differently right now.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
But just looking at my plate right now, I've got, so we split 2 of these gyro sandwiches. So I had a half of each, and I have finished my roast beef gyro. And my traditional Greek gyro is sitting here just staring me in the face, and I'm not going to finish it because it's really bland.
I would never ask you to finish it.
Good, I appreciate it. And that's why we're fast food film friends,
We are. That is far from false. I wanted to.
You were sitting on that one, weren't you?
I wanted to pitch you a movie idea.
Could you get all the tzatziki sauce off your fingertips before you do that? He is pointing to me, expressing, just gesticulating with his hands, while every single fingertip is covered in tzatziki sauce. And then he almost went to pick up his beer too. I can't handle it as a clean fast food film friend. Very off-putting to see someone point at you with all 5 fingers covered in tzatziki sauce. Anyways,
We have some fast food film friend wet naps in the cabinet.
Susan, bring the towels.
There. No, wrong cabinet. No, up. She can't reach.
Susan! I'm glad we hired a mute, because if she talked back once, she'd be gone. She would be gone by now.
Instantly. So, I wanted to pitch you a movie.
Okay.
So, I feel comfortable saying this much about the plot because this all happens in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie. I don't feel as though it's at all a spoiler.
Do we have to set like a point when we say spoiler alert?
We'll do it.
Okay.
We'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah. We're working out the kinks, guys.
We are.
We're figuring this out as we go.
We're feeling out fast food.
We're not even sure. I don't think we're even recording, to be honest.
I don't. Do we have a microphone? Susan, did you get the microphone in here? God damn it.
So,
Susan.
the movie begins. I won't go through all the details, but basically, there's these capsules that land on Earth, and
you kind of skipped the.
No, I am skipping.
Okay,
I don't want to
all right.
go. I don't want to,
Okay.
ruin every bit of it. But there's these capsules that land on Earth, and there's these a few animals encounter these capsules, and they
Can I stop you there though? Because I already have issues with the plot at that point. Now I watch a space station basically explode.
Yes.
For these little capsules to get out.
Yeah.
Somehow, everything else just disintegrates, but these 3 or 4 tiny little capsules make it through Earth's atmosphere without burning up into flames.
Correct.
Land on Earth.
Yes.
Scotch-free.
I'm willing to believe any stupidity this movie throws at me.
Mm-hmm.
At least at that point, I already knew. Like I can respect when a movie in the first 2 minutes is like, just take what we're giving to you.
That's what Dwayne Johnson said when he sold it to the studio.
Like, we are going to shove this in your mouth, and you are going to eat it.
Yeah.
And
that's Arby's tagline for these sandwiches too.
I actually will say I appreciate that as opposed to a movie that sells itself for something it's not for an hour and then becomes something much worse. If it presents itself as, you know what, this is just turn your brain off. Just turn your brain off and you're gonna have more fun.
Well, I think just based off the poster and any trailer you saw for this movie,
right?
That's what you're walking into.
The expectations were set. I will say that the trailer certainly did not mislead.
No.
So, back to my movie pitch.
Yes,
so these capsules land on Earth, and these animals encounter them, and they, like, for example, the gorilla touches the capsule, and some gas is expelled, and it eventually leads to him being huge and strong and angry.
Yeah.
And the day after the gorilla does that with the capsule, Dwayne Johnson finds the capsule.
Primatologist. Dwayne Johnson.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
Primatologist Dwayne Johnson.
Actually, could we look into what his real name is in this? It's Davis Okoye.
If you held a gun to all my loved ones, I could not have told you even his first name.
Well, Susan, get the guns and get his family numbers, please.
All right, that should take a while.
Yeah.
So there's a moment when Dwayne Johnson picks up the capsule, but the capsule's already been like activated. You know what I mean? I want to see
already expelled.
Correct.
Yeah.
I want to see a movie where the gorilla did not touch it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson touches it. He gets the gas, and then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is rampaging through Chicago, 50 feet tall.
Yeah.
If that was the plot of this movie instead, I would see it 3 more times.
Now, I like that, but here's what I want instead. Very similar. I want to go down that same path where the gorilla ignores the giant meteor that falls from the sky, doesn't go to touch it, the gas isn't expelled. But a 12-year-old Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's skinny and scrawny, never lifted a weight in his life, stumbles across it, touches it, and then just turns into the modern-day Rock.
So you're looking for like a Captain America.
I want like an origin story for how the Rock became so...
Right.
And instead of becoming angry, he just becomes charming and able to control his eyebrows like any human being.
Literally describing the Captain America.
Wow. See, now I've never seen any of those movies.
I also, I wanted to say, so this movie, I'm in it for the action. Let's see some monsters punch each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I will say I found the action to be pretty underwhelming. I think that there was like maybe a 10, 15-minute span there at the end that made for some pretty interesting fights. But leading up to that, there was little kind of action bits here and there.
Yeah, you're right.
And none of it was at all captivating.
I think the intro in space was slightly, it kicks off with a little bit of action.
Yeah.
You know, when they say lady's trying to get to her escape hatch, and they say, "No, get the specimen, get the specimen," and she goes, "But the subject is loose," and they're like, "It's just a rat," and she goes, "Not anymore."
Yeah,
and the giant rat tries to kill her, but after that, there is kind of a lull, and it's a lot of just bad acting, terrible character introductions, terrible lines like, "Remember, the killers are us. We hired to take out whoever. He's the us." Like lines like that. It's a lot of one-liners. But yeah, you're right. The only action was kind of the culmination at the end there with the 3 beasts.
And see, I want to talk about that more in our spoiler segment later.
Oh, yes.
But
speaking of spoilers, by the way, though.
Yes.
The curly fries, Gyro curly fries, are a standout for me.
I actually I'm starting them right now.
I've watched you not eat them while
Is
I've
that
been
your
eating mine.
highlight of the meal so far?
It is. Speaking of crisper, it's a nice crisp. It's a nice crisp.
Okay.
I will say the tzatziki sauce / possible cheese / a combo of the two is nice, and it's just there's no BS in it. There's no lettuce. There's no filler. It's just terribly unhealthy things piled, heaped on top of each other, and it's actually pretty good.
I do really enjoy this.
Yeah, I would eat a whole one of these myself.
I mean, curly fries. We said we talked about the roast beef and how it's familiar.
True.
They know what they're doing.
True.
Heritage. The curly fries. I mean, that's Arby's bread and butter.
It is.
It's not literally. There's
No,
I don't
they do
believe
have bread
there
and
is
butter.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a separate item on the menu.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Have you ever ordered Arby's just bread and butter?
It's been a few years since I got some.
I can tell you seem tense.
The fries are really what it's all about when you go to Arby's. Like,
I agree.
If that's why you order curly fries, is because if the rest of your food disappoints, you know for an absolute fact you will receive a smidge of satisfaction
with the curly fry.
Yeah.
See, now I was raised by a dad and a mom, actually, but my dad usually
we didn't all have that luxury. But go on.
I know. I had both, although separate, but still both. But when we went to Arby's, my dad was kind of a health freak and he's in great shape. Only thing he would ever eat at McDonald's was an Egg McMuffin. So when we went to Arby's, it was straight roast beef. None of that roast beef and cheddar bullshit. You can't have the fake cheese sauce.
Yeah.
And no curly fries because fries are terrible for you.
Yeah.
So instead, I would get, 1 or 2 Arby's roast beefs, douse them with Arby's sauce, and then it would be 2 potato cakes. Have you tried their potato cakes?
I don't recall. I don't think so.
It's like a tiny rounded edge triangle of just golden crispy potato goodness, and then on the inside it's like just a handheld hash brown that's really crisp on the outside and then just perfect on the inside.
That sounds delicious.
They're so good.
Should we go back right now?
I think we should. If they put some roast beef and tzatziki sauce on top of that. Sorry, I almost just threw up looking at my traditional Greek gyro. I need to move it out of the way because that is just repulsive looking. But I'd eat that potato cake with gyro stuff on top. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that is for sure.
That sounds quite nice.
Now, one character from this movie who, when he came on the screen, I thought to myself, who the hell is this guy? Who's he from? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's. I'm sorry. Let me get his name one more time. Davis Okoye.
You didn't know who Dwayne Johnson was?
No, I did. I just wanted to make sure I got the pronunciation right. I have the phonetic spelling pulled up. Susan, make sure that doesn't go away.
Dwayne.
No, I apologize. Dwayne Hanson. It's the little guy with glasses in the beginning.
Yeah.
Little guy. He's kind of helping him. He tries to shoot the gorilla in the beginning, and I thought, I know that guy from something. His name is Nelson, now that I'm looking at the page.
Yeah.
And he's got a very recognizable face. I feel like he's been in maybe a lot of things, but when I look it up, the number one movie he's in is The Wolf in Wall Street. That's what people know him as.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew I recognized that.
And I took literally all movie, that's all I was thinking about. But he makes a very abrupt exit in this film.
There's actually, in the beginning of this movie, there are 3 characters who are with Dwayne Johnson.
Yes.
And they exist for no reason other than to show you that Dwayne Johnson is an alpha male.
Yes.
As if...
Yes.
Okay. As if I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like...
As if his forearms don't scream alpha male.
Like, I've seen the shape of his head. Yeah. I know what kind of person he is.
I did keep a fist bump count going in this movie.
Yeah.
There were 4 epic Dwayne Johnson fist bumps.
There were some nice ones in there.
2 of which happened early on. But those characters, it's a guy with glasses.
Yeah.
Who's basically, literally, I think says, after Dwayne Johnson drives away in his souped up like 2024 Ford Bronco with giant wheels, he says, man, girls love that guy. Right. I'm going to shave my head. Like, just literally idolizes the guy.
Which is really, I really appreciate the attention to detail with these characters.
And because people say stuff to themselves like that.
The nuance.
Yeah.
Really solid. What I liked even more was the girl who this is not an exaggeration. She literally existed for the purpose of wanting to embrace Dwayne Johnson
With what?
physically,
Oh,
and that is her character
sole
arc.
purpose.
After she asks him out and he turns her
She
down.
doesn't actually ask him out. She wants to practice submission techniques after
Correct.
seeing him handle those apes.
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
Dwayne, do you want to show me your submission techniques?
And she has the lip bite down,
Oh yeah,
and
just enough pink in her hair to see that she does have daddy issues.
right,
Yeah.
like things went south in college.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And after
She did.
he rejects her and walks out, that is the last we see of her. She
Yeah.
is in 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And then there's also the man who is in it for just as little. He's also in 2 scenes.
Mhm.
And his purpose is being cartoonishly scared.
Yeah.
And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has to step in
Yeah. I literally
and
forgot
save
about
the
that.
day. Yes.
I literally forgot
Like, he
about
probably doesn't have a name.
it. You know what? I don't think he does, actually. Susan, could you check if he has a name?
She's shaking her head.
No name.
All right. So
No
no
name.
name for that guy.
Huh. That makes sense, though, because he was basically worthless.
Right.
He kind of looked like a mix between, like, Harry Styles and... What's the Star Wars guy? Ewan McGregor, I would say.
Okay.
If you had to mix those two.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't remember what the guy looks like because he was in the movie for 5 minutes.
Let me show you his real name. God, he's born in 1992. It's Jack Quaid, hopefully related to Randy and Dennis.
I would assume so because
But
I'm not sure how else he
can't-
landed this role.
I can't confirm that, but yes, I'm sure that's how. But yeah, a lot of characters you're introduced to in the beginning who just... And you know what? Not only human characters, there's a very intense scene in the beginning where the gorilla, who, spoiler alert, goes on a rampage in the end. There's a young gorilla who's had his family ripped away from him.
Yes.
He's emotional.
Yes.
He's aggressive. He's a young gorilla who needs to be taken care of. And Dwayne, with his terrible sign language that the ape somehow understands, tells this albino ape, you need to take care of this boy. He lost his family. He's just a rogue ape who doesn't know what he's doing.
And that is never mentioned again.
Never mentioned again.
I thought for sure that we're going to spend the first third of this movie in this zoo.
Yeah.
And we're going to have like this ape drama.
Yeah.
No, we're going to have like this mentor relationship.
No follow-up.
Literally never in
follow-up.
the movie again.
That poor ape has his second family ripped away from him again. And
Yeah.
just is left there without Dwayne, without the albino ape.
I think that's the real tragedy of the movie, not the atrocities that happen later on.
I think just casting new Jim from The Office is the real tragedy of the
I'm
movie.
also very hung
I
up
think
on
that's
that. It was just
very
quite
distracting.
Yes.
Speaking of distracting, though, I think the main... Well, I have several issues with this movie, like I stated earlier, but
Yeah.
one of the main issues I have is there are 3 animals that get affected by this gas from
Yes.
space that basically enhances your growth hormones, makes you super aggressive, and
Yeah.
makes you regenerate, I guess, kind of heal faster.
Yeah.
It's a wolf. It's the albino ape who Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson trains, and it's an alligator in the Everglades who you don't really see till close.
I would say
to
like 3/4 of the way through the
Yeah.
movie is when they introduce.
But it's kind of nice that they drop it in the
Yeah.
Everglades, and then you kind of forget about it, and then it's like, oh my god, there's something in the Chicago River.
Yeah.
It's
It's a pretty cool moment.
but
Like, it's cool they saved that. For
It is.
the end. Yeah.
But scale-wise now, in my head, a wolf starts smaller than a gorilla.
No, yeah. The scale made zero
Sense. An alligator starts smaller than a gorilla.
Yeah.
But the alligator and the wolf are literally 3 to 4 times bigger than the gorilla at the end of this movie, I feel.
Yes.
And
There's little to no logic.
and the alligator, spoiler alerts, the alligator has like the dinosaur that sprays the fat guy from Jurassic Park in the face
Yeah.
and then attacks him, like gets gills like that. The wolf, I mean, I don't even want to spoil that for people because when the wolf shows his added powers, it was quite the revelation for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was some pretty cool little shots with the wolf, like little action shots involving
Yeah.
the wolf being airborne and
Yes,
all sorts
definitely
of
airborne.
destruction.
But the gorilla gets none of that again.
no,
They
yeah.
both had spikes coming out. The wolf literally like porcupine spiked a helicopter at one point.
Yeah.
Sprayed a spike at a helicopter.
It's awesome.
And the gorilla, it is awesome. I can't argue that. But the gorilla, he got nothing.
It's true.
He got nothing. I just don't get why, I don't know what the difference is there. It's a plot hole. I think I've discovered a plot hole.
Yeah, I'd say, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else good you want to say about this movie before we move on to our spoiler segment?
Oof. I will say the tandem skydive scene where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saved... Well, first off, before we even get into this, can we touch on Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this movie?
Oh, yes. We need to talk about this.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan comes in. I was excited to see him. I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
For our listeners who aren't aware, he plays the character Negan on the Walking Dead TV show. He's somewhat of a cult fan favorite character. Mm-hmm. He's been in the last couple of seasons, and he's just kind of revitalized the show. And he's everyone's favorite. I wouldn't go that far.
Whoa, okay. A lot of statements made there. Pretty powerful stuff. I also know him, and I think it was he was in, I want to say, Weeds for a little bit. Yeah, he was.
Gotcha.
But most people know him as Negan in Walking Dead, and he is Negan in Walking Dead in this movie.
He literally showed up to work on the first day, and he was like, "Boss, I didn't even read the script.
No.
I'm pretty sure I'm not even supposed to be in this movie.
Yep.
What do you want me to do? You're paying me $10 million.
At least.
Just tell me what to do."
Yeah.
And they said, "You know what? We want you to literally be Negan from The Walking Dead."
They did slap a big Texas belt buckle on him and gave him like a 6-shooter, which I don't think he used in the entire movie.
I don't recall, yeah.
Big belt buckle, very prominent gun with like a white ivory handle.
Yeah.
Standout Texan. And he's got a little southern twang. Like he took a recent vacation to Louisiana for like 3 months.
Well, he reminds you, like, on 3 separate occasions, my grandpa used to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just has, clearly he's a man of heritage.
Yeah.
He really represents that Bible Belt audience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say he's playing Negan. He got the walk,
the talk,
the inflection, literally, if you told me that his character, that like this movie was some kind of like spin-off prequel of Walking Dead, and that he would later become literally Negan from Walking Dead, I would say that makes sense.
He talks about the 3 beasts the exact same way he talks about walkers in The Walking Dead. Yeah. It's uncanny.
Like they wrote his dialogue accordingly.
Yeah. They basically took his leather jacket off, slapped a suit coat on him, and a big-ass belt buckle, and said, "You know what? Just do the same thing, but there's no zombies here. It's just giant, angry animals."
Uh-huh.
And he, for the direction he got, which I assume is that, he did all right.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't bad.
He did all right.
Yeah.
Not going to win an Oscar by any means. But yeah, that was oddly distracting too, I feel like, just having him in there with the exact same tone and inflection, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slightly distracting.
So let's move on to our spoiler segment. But before we do that, let's take a break for a word from our sponsors. This week's episode of Fast Food Film Friends is brought to you by Zynga.com. Are you looking for a blogging platform without all the customization nonsense that comes with sites like Squarespace? Are you tired of all those social networks where your friends and family can see everything you post? Join Zynga.com, the desolate, no-frills website that actually still exists. Sign up for your infinitely free trial today at Zynga.com/fastfoodfilmfriends. And we are back.
Oh.
And it is time for the segment of the show that we like to call Spoiler Snacks. That is the part of the show where we talk spoilers and eat snacks.
And also snacks.
So from this point on, we're going to be spoiling the ending of Rampage. So if you, for some reason, plan to see it, don't want to hear about it.
Nobody's planning on
If
seeing
you
it.
are sick to death of hearing our nasally voices at this point, turn this off. That's fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we are going to spoil every last bit. So,
I feel like we've already
that
spoiled
being
a lot,
said,
but-
I want to say that my favorite thing about this movie is that there are exactly 3 moments in this movie. I think they all take place in probably the second half of the movie.
Sure.
3 separate moments in which our characters are in trouble. They're in peril of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that situation is solved
Yeah.
is that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson finds a helicopter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That happens three
Three
times.
times. All functioning and somehow just operate. Like you can just stroll into a helicopter and just kick it up, turn the key, and take off. And at one point, he doesn't even fly one. He just shoots the guns on the helicopter.
Correct. Yeah.
The helicopters actually start. I think the first one he finds, Negan gives him keys to.
Yes.
And they escape that situation. The second one is just broken, not going to fly, and they literally just they say they're going to crash it while the Sears Tower, actually, Hancock Tower now. Willis Tower, yes, apologies. Willis Tower. We'll talk. We'll have to. Susan, can you look that up?
She's from Detroit. I don't think she's ever been to Chicago, but continue.
Classic Detroit. But as the Willis or Hancock or Sears Tower is toppling over, they just hop in a helicopter that literally has no tail, barely functional, and somehow just glide on down to the ground.
Yeah, and that is the intention, is to glide down to the ground, and it works out pretty well.
It really panned out. Now, do you think that's the same helicopter that saves him the next time?
There's really no way of knowing.
Yeah, because there are a lot of helicopters in this movie. I mean, the military presence that they get into Chicago in like a day?
Oh, yeah. I would say within hours.
Yeah, it was a pretty tight timeline to A, evacuate downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
B, get planes, trains, Hummers, helicopters, and jets, stealth bombers inbound.
Yeah. I don't think anybody who made this movie has ever tried going into downtown Chicago. I don't think so.
They're lucky it wasn't rush hour, I will say that much.
Yeah, the logistics,
tough.
Illogical.
Yeah, very illogical. They somehow managed to get 50% out, I think was the final count of the evacuation of Chicago.
I missed that part, but I'm going to take your word for it.
I think, yeah, you can quote me on that.
Before we go any further, we should say the snack that we are eating is Chewy Chips Ahoy Reese's edition. So essentially we've got a nice, soft, fairly small to medium-sized chocolate cookie with chocolate chips, and we got some peanut butter chips and also some bits of actual Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Now, I'm a big fan of the classic Chewy Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
I could eat a whole tray, and I used to. With a glass of milk, give me 2-3 glasses of milk, I will eat that entire thing because they are so damn good. And these, I have to say, are possibly better than classic. The peanut butter is a nice touch, and it really washes out the taste of that disgusting gyro meat.
It's true.
That we put into our mouths earlier.
The juxtaposition of foods.
What a winner on this one.
Yeah.
Good snacks.
Yeah, pretty good snacks. We had to ask Susan to reach in one of the low cupboards for something for us to nibble on. I really appreciate her being able to actually reach that and all.
Surprising that she doesn't have arms, so it's impressive that she was able.
Right. She has to kind of maneuver it. It's kind of like a 3-point turn in your car, but she has to do it with her legs.
Sure, I have no idea what you mean by that, but I like it. So we focused a lot on snacks here. Now I want to get to spoilers here. They draw in these 3 animals. Again, I'll recap for you. Giant alligator that has the spread out neck meat. I don't even know what it looks like a Chinese fan that explodes.
It kind of looks like Arby's roast beef.
Oh my god, it actually does.
Yeah.
Oddly. Now I'm even more grossed out by the fact that that's in my stomach. But there's that alligator who also has spikes and just grew like a spiky tail, like a dinosaur, Stegosaurus. And then we have our albino ape gorilla, Dwayne Johnson's good friend. He's not a people person, as they say about 40 times in this movie. But he likes this ape, and he sides with them. And he's giant and angry, too, and very strong. And then our third beast is a wolf who I would say proportionally probably grew the most. He was like 30 stories tall at one point, I think they said. But their plan, really not their whole plan, but the evil company headed by Malin Ackerman and new Jim from The Office, Pete, their whole plan, they somehow implemented bat DNA into this space dust that exploded to make these animals like this, so that they're drawn to this sonar type radio wave that they just blow out of the antenna on top of Willis Tower.
Mm-hmm. For the first probably half the movie, you've got these two characters who are completely on their own. Any scene they're in, they're just by themselves. Just the two of them. They're separate from the rest of the characters and for the rest of the settings and everything.
Did you think they were dating at one point?
I think I might have thought that. I wasn't.
They turned out to be brother and sister.
Oh, I completely missed that.
Yeah, it was one quick line again where he's like, "It was my sister. I didn't even know what she was doing." And I was like, "What? What?"
I completely missed that. Yeah, that was very unclear.
Well, most of the movie was, so that does add up.
They at one point in the movie, when after seeing all these scenes of these two talking, and it's just the worst dialogue and delivery of the whole movie by far. I was like, I feel very strongly that this movie was made, and then they decided to change the story.
Yes.
So they had to add in these two characters that were literally unrelated to the rest of the story in their own thing. Their plot does eventually converge, and they have like a final climax with Dwayne Johnson.
Yep.
And our lead female character. But that could have easily been like, a reshot scene. That could have easily been added in as well.
It does seem like somebody took a real action movie and they wanted to splice themselves in.
Yes.
And so they filmed themselves in like an office and said...
It truly does feel like high school students, maybe college students got together and pretended to be villains. Mm-hmm. We're like, let's film ourselves being evil.
I don't know if it was the brunette hair or what did it for Malin Ackerman, but she does not seem natural at all in this movie. She seems like she's saying her lines at gunpoint throughout the entire time.
Yes.
Even when she has somebody at gunpoint at the end there.
Bit of a three-way gunpoint situation.
Yes.
I'm surprised that there was no... I think that's why her gun went off.
I think so.
It was just a misunderstanding.
I will say, and as I just finished my snacks, I'd like to throw another spoiler in as well. When she gets eaten by the giant ape,
yes,
it's very poorly done. Even that, like the ape just drops her into his mouth, doesn't even take a bite or chew, just doesn't even swallow, just starts banging his chest. And the CGI is like,
it's
filmed. They filmed her on a kitchen floor,
yes,
with her arms in the air, waving them, and then just.
And the least they could have done was like made that a short shot or sped it up. It's a drawn out, like 10-second her falling into his mouth, and it looks awful.
It looks terrible.
The CGI in this movie is like not good.
No,
like, there was many parts where I was like, okay, I think that I'm a little bit spoiled by like the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy because the CGI in those movies is incredible. Like you, at no point do you feel like these are animated characters.
They didn't have to pay for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They got to spend their money on CGI.
It's true that the budget went to those biceps.
Yeah.
Which, was it worth it? That's for all of us to decide on our own. But the CGI, there's many parts of this movie where, in the very beginning with like the apes in the zoo, I was like, one of them's walking around, and I was like, that's like
bad.
This is like PlayStation 3 graphics.
I will say the opening scene in space with the mutant rat literally reminded me of a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
It was just so bad.
Yeah. It was terrible. Rough.
Terrible. But you got to suspend disbelief for these movies.
It's true. I did notice it more in the beginning because, like I said, once I reach a point and accepted, this is just a stupid, dumb, somewhat fun experience.
Mm-hmm. Just like this podcast.
Exactly. Absolutely. Just like eating lamb from Arby's.
Correct. Stupid, dumb, slightly fun.
Occasionally.
Occasionally. You don't want to do it twice in 1 week.
Correct.
Yeah.
Probably twice in my life. Probably not
Tops.
Want to eat Arby's lamb.
Tops. Yeah. Or see this movie.
I want to, for a moment, try to take this movie seriously.
Yeah.
In one regard.
Let's do that.
So, we've got our two villains, right? They're the head of this Energene.
Literally, I already forgot. Energencia? That's like a real thing.
Right?
Sure.
That's what it's called.
Sure.
They're the head of this corporation. They're doing some evil stuff. They're responsible for these creatures, being on their rampage and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are both killed off. I would say at the time when they both are killed, there's still a solid 30 to 40 minutes left in the movie. I would say 30 minutes. It was a while.
I would say when Malin Ackerman's killed, yes.
And then he's killed minutes after.
I suppose he's killed pretty soon.
And so my point is that these monsters, we call them monsters. They're just three animals who were
scared,
who fell victim
Sure.
to these villains' plot, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, the villains are dead, and we're left with these monsters that are basically just like pawns in this plan. You know what I mean? And so seeing them fight, like it from a purely just like admiring the action and like cool shots and creativity, I enjoyed the whole final fight scene.
Yeah.
But if I really want to think about like who I'm rooting for, why do I care about what I'm watching right now? These are just like, none of these animals are bad or evil or I mean, the gorilla is given an antidote to remove his aggression, so he then turns good while the other two are still bad.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that if they just had 2 more antidotes, they wouldn't have to kill them.
Which, to that point,
there were more antidotes.
There were so many antidotes.
There were like 8 of them.
She grabbed 3.
Yes.
And then the evil people took those 3 from her, and then she grabs 1 more.
Right.
And which just, there's like 10 more on the cylinder she grabs it from.
Yeah. Bizarre line of thinking.
Oh, man.
But you got these 3 monsters who are fighting, and they're all just basically misunderstood. They're all just, they're just out of their mind. But like when one of them kills the other, and I was just like, I feel like this moment is being played for like we should be rooting for this, but I just feel like, oh man, that sucks that like that animal doesn't get to be healed. It just dies.
Yeah.
Which I mean, realistically, that's the outcome. Like that's the only option, is they have to die, because they're not going to get the antidote, so they're going to just destroy everything. So I understand that's how it has to end.
Yeah.
But it's really a lose-lose. You know what I mean?
I think I didn't really care about any of these animals at any point. Even the albino ape, sure, he had some funny sign language. He gives Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson the finger. Yeah. And I did love his laugh. The ape's got a great laugh.
Yeah.
But I had no emotional attachment. Even after seeing of the tiny albino ape hiding under a poacher's truck, watching his mother get mutilated.
That was a bit much.
That was a bit much. They literally talk about how this albino ape, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, swoops in and saves him from underneath the poacher's truck. But he's watching his mother's hands get cut off to be turned into ashtrays, is the line in the movie.
Which is a thing.
You don't have a monkey palm ashtray?
I think I sold them in my yard sale last year.
Wow. Well, no wonder I can't smoke in here. But even after seeing that, and he was real cute as an albino baby.
Yeah, he was adorable.
Very
big eyes.
Big blue eyes.
He's crying.
Which I think albinos don't really have blue eyes. I think they kind of just have like red dead eyes almost.
We should write an email to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to correct that aspect.
That's the only plot hole, I think. Though.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any connection to my main takeaway, and this is what I mentioned as we exited the theater tonight before we went to pick up that terrible food.
Yes.
My main takeaway from this movie, after the final fight scene, it's just the resiliency of the American alligator is really my main takeaway, because those things are basically dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're launching 50 caliber machine guns at him, grenades. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson throws a grenade into this newly formed gill that the alligator apparently has. Beef slit, sure. Gets it right between the beef curtains. And boom, grenades. About 6 grenades explode. Yeah. It falls over for a second, but it gets right back up.
Right.
And the only way it's killed is a giant ape ramming a giant steel rod through his eyeball and through his brain.
Yeah.
Which, most of the time, if you have a giant alligator, you're not going to have a giant ape with a sharp metal stick.
Correct.
So realistically, if that ape's dead, that thing's just going to dominate the world.
Yeah.
Until something switches.
Until it has to take a nap.
But that was, I think, at the end of the day, I'm going to sleep soundly tonight knowing that American alligators really, we don't have to worry about them. That's one animal on Earth that's going to do fine.
Yeah. So one last thing that you pointed this out to me while we were in the theater. Right before the credits roll for this movie, I want to paint a picture for those who either didn't notice it in the movie or who didn't see the movie.
Nobody else has seen this movie. I want to make that clear.
You have this ape, right, who, along with the wolf and the crocodile, was spent, a good 20 minutes just destroying downtown Chicago.
Literally.
Tearing buildings down. Yeah. Many casualties.
Slicing through buildings like butter. Oh, a lot of casualties in this movie.
Like many deaths.
Civilians and military personnel Slaughter.
left and right.
Oh.
And the gorilla is given the antidote. He's good. He helps defeat the other monsters. Moments after this gorilla has just terrorized this city, he goes to help a man down from a broken window,
like the 15th story of a building.
He's like been in his office his entire time, just like watching by the window, which is gone.
Yep.
The gorilla raises his hand. The man, without hesitation, walks out onto the hand.
Yeah, instinctually.
Absolutely mind-blowing.
I have never, and as littered as this movie was with plot holes, that was the one that I was like, no effing way.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we're swearing on this podcast yet, so I'm going to say no effing way.
We're actually, our application to PBS Radio is still out there.
Okay, great.
So we should hold off on that.
Okay.
We'll put a pin in that.
But it's like, even if you tell a dog to like jump up on your lap, there's that moment of hesitation where maybe his paws will go up on your knees, but he's kind of like, I don't know if I can trust you.
Yeah.
And as a human, if you watch a giant ape destroy basically half of Chicago, and then he just like gently holds his hand out on the 15th story, you're just going to like, the guy was literally, it looked like he was just going to walk off the edge. Like he didn't stop. He was in stride.
Oh yeah.
And the hand just comes up and he pops right in there.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it cuts out before you even see what the ape does with him.
He could have easily just squashed him.
Yeah, eaten him, tossed him. He tossed a lot of guys.
He's a temperamental gorilla.
I mean, he was chucking Hummers around. Just very shocking to watch that man so casually get into that giant monkey's hand.
So we are done with our snacks, and I want to get to a verdict. I want to ask you, first of all, let's break it down. Traditional Greek gyro, roast beef gyro, and gyro curly fries. I want you to, yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Sure.
Do you recommend them?
So I'm going to go, as we are fast food film friends, I like that we start out with our fast food. Traditional Greek gyro, it's out of Arby's element. Do not go by that. I would not recommend it myself.
Out of scope.
Out of scope.
Yeah.
Roast beef gyro, I think if you're a fan of Arby's, if you like the traditional roast beef, I would say give it a shot. It's about $4.50, maybe $4.69 for one of these. It's an interesting twist on something, that you're familiar with. I would say give that one a shot.
Yeah.
But the gyro curly fries, and again, I'm sorry, PBS, we can edit this out for you, but if you're smoking that stuff, devil's lettuce, you're going to get into these gyro curly fries.
You think so?
Oh, I mean, I haven't even smoked any of that stuff, and I got into those gyro curly fries.
You went for it.
Yeah. I would definitely, that would be my winner for fast food tonight, is the gyro curly fries. But again, it's similar to the gyro with roast beef, just because it's like we talked about, a twist on a classic.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on fast food?
I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I think that the Greek gyro is a colossal disaster.
Traditional.
Correct. The traditional Greek gyro is just an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And I have nothing positive to say for it. Mm-hmm. The only thing I had positive to say for it, I could also say for the roast beef gyro, which I will say for that instead, which is that the pita is nice.
Fine. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. It's not too dry.
And to me, fine pita is still an enjoyable snack.
Especially when you're getting it from Arby's.
Exactly, yeah. And it's got, again, if you're listening to this, you've probably lived at least a couple decades on God's green earth. You've had Arby's roast beef before. You know how you feel about the substance. You don't need us to tell you if you like Arby's roast beef. If you like Arby's roast beef, I'm going to say, maybe give it a shot, the roast beef gyro. The pita and the roast beef is not bad.
No.
Would I ever get it again? No. Is it bad? Also no. So hard to give a strong verdict on that one.
Yeah.
But the fries,
it's probably healthier than the classic roast beef. I think pita is probably got to be healthier than a bun. I can't confirm that though. Susan, call Arby's. Get him on the phone, please.
She says, she doesn't know how to use the phone.
No. Okay. Well, she can't dial without arms, so. Okay. That's tough.
The fries, I really enjoyed the fries.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. I would say order the fries without the lamb.
Oh, just normal
fries and the tzatziki and the seasoning.
Oh,
it's nice. It's a nice mix.
Sure.
I really enjoyed it. The lamb is there.
See, I liked the lamb. On the fries.
Okay, but not on the gyro?
I think on the gyro, I think the shitty lettuce and the translucent tomatoes really ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Because those are texture-wise, those are just mush.
Yeah.
And granted, all of it just turns into mush essentially. But I don't know. On the fries, I thought it was a nice touch because they have that crispiness, and it kind of softens them up a bit. For you.
Well, there's definitely some nice. It's kind of like a contrast with the crispy fries
Yes.
and the more soft lamb.
Yes.
I will say I did enjoy the lamb more when it was in the context of the fries.
Yeah.
Still won't say I enjoyed it. Overall, would not recommend the Greek gyro. I'm going to say not recommend the roast beef gyro.
Okay.
It's riding the line right there.
Sure.
I've said
Sure.
my thoughts. People can take what I said and make their own decisions.
Yeah.
The loaded fries, I'll recommend.
Good.
Overall, I'll say I like it.
Yeah.
Now, the movie, on the other hand, I'm just going to go ahead and say, if you are looking for a movie filled with monsters that fight each other and some lovable stars and some humor and some heartfelt moments, I'm going to go say watch Kong, Skull Island. Maybe possibly watch Jurassic World. I think that this exact movie has been done multiple times in the last few years, much better. Watch the last Godzilla movie.
Watch Jumanji if you want your rock fix.
Absolutely. That's a better recommendation than Kong. Watch Jumanji.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't seen all of those movies and you're considering seeing this one, just watch those instead.
Yeah.
And that's my recommendation. I'm going to say a hard no to Rampage. And what are your thoughts?
I'm going to give it, to me, walking into this movie, very low expectations. And I honestly don't even think I had seen a preview for this movie, maybe half of the preview. So I didn't really know what was happening. I didn't even know it was based on a video game, which does make a small appearance in the movie.
We actually had not even mentioned in the background that this movie is based on a retro video game,
which I never played.
Which the premise of the game is essentially the last 20 minutes of this movie, which is just destroy things.
Yeah. Is it?
I don't actually think the monsters fight each other, though. I think it's just destruction, just destroying buildings. And
we'll have to check that out.
It's pretty rudimentary, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. Now I just want to play that video game, but it's you kind of know what you're getting into with this movie. The Rock's in it, so it's not going to be an award-winning drama or an award-winning action movie. It's not going to be well written.
Right.
It's going to star his biceps. It's going to star his charm, his smirk.
Absolutely. Wit, I would say.
I wouldn't. But you could. I would put this in the same boat as the roast beef gyro. It's a new twist on a classic. It's a rock movie. It's a rock action movie. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to exceed expectations. But if you go into it, just kind of wanting to shut off and de-stress after a long week, I think it's all right. I would say don't go see it in theaters. Wait for it to come out on DVD.
Oh, that's a good recommendation.
But I would say rent it.
Yeah.
Just like I would say, don't go. You know what? After tonight, other than the curly fries, I don't think I'm ever going to go to Arby's again.
Yeah. I think these are pretty comparable subjects to analyze.
I agree. It both were, both were not surprising. I guess you could say they met expectations, which were low.
Correct.
And so at the end of the day, that's kind of a wash.
And hopefully that's what we do on this show.
We meet your very low expectations. That's all I want. Set them lower, though, guys. Just set them lower.
And on that note, you can find all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud.
And feel free to follow us on Facebook at Fast Food Film Friends who like fast food and film.
Wow.
And while you're there, you can send us a message if you want to tell us what you'd like us to eat or what movie you'd like us to go see next and review. Slap that on our page, and we'll take that into consideration, but probably just go see whatever we want to next. And most likely eat whatever we want to next too. But, maybe you'll throw something out there that we haven't heard about.
Until then, farewell.